Now the push jerk, this is a fun one. There's really only one other step that we're taking from the push press to the push jerk, and we'll just take a look and get Spiel to do a few, and then we'll talk about it. Good drives.
Let's go, Spieler! Easy. Nice.
Cool. So it's fast, it's aggressive, right? There's nothing about this that's slow and nice. It's like the weightlifting equivalent of slapping somebody in the face, right? It's a big wind up and bam, you're done. It doesn't happen slowly. It hits you pretty hard. Now let's look at the similarities between the press and the push jerk. The push press and the push jerk before we go too much further. The setup is where? Exactly the same as it has been so far. The finished position is where? Exactly the same as it has been so far. So again, if we go back to that same example, I take a snapshot of Chris at the top of a press, push press, and a push jerk at the finished position of all three. I hand you the photos and I say, which one is it? There's not enough information to work on, okay? You don't have enough to go from. Now, interestingly enough, if we take a look at the push press and the push jerk for a second, just those last two, if we were to have Spiel dip down in slow motion, drive up in slow motion, and stop right there, is he doing a push press or a push jerk? Again, we don't have enough information to go off of. The movements start identically. They start and end identically. There's just a quick little bit in the middle that changes things dramatically. And so what Chris is doing, he's going to dip down, same as he was before. He's going to drive up. The bar's on its way up. He's going to re-dip to assist that lockout, so he's actually in free fall underneath the weight. Now, once he's got that barbell locked out overhead, he's going to stand tall with it and finish that position. Okay? So he's got this big drive, creating an opportunity so that he can sneak his way underneath. Okay? So that initial dip drive creates this nice little opportunity where the bar's on its way up. He's on the way down. There's this nice little weightless zone in the middle, okay, that he can use to achieve that lockout. And then he stands up. Okay, so very powerful movement. Very powerful movement. And again, we see about another 30% increase in people that have technique and proficiency in this. Now again, the number's not super important. It's just interesting to note. Okay? So the question is, you know, how much weight can you lock out in free fall? If I throw you out of a plane with a barbell with 1,000 pounds loaded on it, you think you get underneath it? Yeah, right? Now where's the problem going to be? In the landing. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit rough. So it's the same thing in the push jerk. If we get that thing moving and I create even 2 inches of opportunity, I can drop underneath it and lock it out, but it's going to be tough to land with it. Okay, it's going to be pretty skill dependent there. So there's a lot of skill going on here. All right, now the problems that we'll see with the push jerk are very similar to the push press so far. Okay, not ending out in front, not locking out, not being active in the shoulders, muted hip on that dip, chest coming forward. All that same stuff is going to be present in this, and we're trying to avoid all those things. But there's one big one that crops up in the push jerk that's super, super critical to its execution. Okay, I want you guys to see if you can note the difference here. Now, Chris, do a really good one for me. Good. Now do a really bad one for me. Real short. Yeah. Okay, one more time. Really good one. Here's Exhibit A. Now, like even worse than that one, the last one. Really bad. Really, really short. Good. Okay, now what's the difference between those two movements? It's very critical here.
No hip drive?
Yes, he doesn't stand all the way up in that initial drive. And if he doesn't stand up in that initial drive, has he created that opportunity where the barbell's on its way up? No, right? He hasn't. The barbell is just kind of sitting there. Hasn't created the opportunity where it's on its way up, so how's he going to get underneath it? He's not going to be able to do it. Okay, so it's critical that he creates that opportunity by standing all the way up, feeding that power from the hips into the arms. Otherwise, he's going to be unsuccessful, okay, just about every time. And just to illustrate that one more time so you guys can start to see it a little bit more readily, can you turn true profile to them? Cool. Right now, we can say again that he's got no angle between his torso and his femur, okay? When he dips down again, go ahead, dip and freeze. He's got that little angle starting to creep its way in. when he drives back up, he's got to get to that open position again, if only for a split second before he retreats back underneath to that lockout. Okay? Go ahead. Now let's do one at speed. Do a good one. Good. Now did he get to this position for a split second before he dropped under? Yeah, right? He got there. It was quick. Didn't hang out there, but he hit it and then got back under. Now do a short one. Did he ever get back to this position? No, right? So he didn't get to that drive. Can everybody see the difference there? This is super, super critical to the execution of this movement, okay? And it takes a while to see if you're not familiar with it, but it's a big thing. Okay, so one more time, good. We've got the hip opening all the way. He stands tall for a split second before he drops back under. And bad, he never makes it back up to that position. Super short. He's always with that closed angle, okay? You just can't complete the movement that way. All right? Any questions on that push jerk? Yeah?
Is he moving his feet?
Good question. Yeah, the feet. Now, the feet is one of those things that it's going to be a bit of a specific context by context type of thing. If we've got Chris setting up for a 1 rep max push jerk, you better believe his feet are going to open up a little bit to accommodate that load. He get a little bit wider so he can get a little bit deeper in the receiving position. Okay? So certainly his feet will open up a little bit. When we're talking about just the basic execution of the push press, what we don't want to see is the feet getting excessively wide. Sometimes we call it like the X-Man jerk. Can you go ahead and show one of those? Bam, right, where he's like super wide. Yeah, it's like some sort of cheerleading thing, you know. And sorry, Chris. And that is less than good. Okay, where we've sacrificed the position of stability. This is kind of a swimmy position here. And beyond that, the cycle time is huge. I mean, it takes a long time to recover from that. So it takes you longer to do more reps, and it decreases your overall power output. Rarely is it going to be that we're coach people to actually open their feet, because 9 times out of 10, if you say open your feet on the landing, what are you going to get? Chris, just open your feet an inch, and what's going to happen is bam, right? So naturally, most people are going to open their feet a tidbit. That's okay, as long as it's a reasonable degree, and reset when they're done.